men's mental health. I was going through some data which is very shocking that 70% of suicide committed are by men.
When did they last cry? So mainly the answer is like 1 year, I don't know, 3 months back, maybe. How is it possible that sadness is a far off emotion to them? Men suppress sadness. I feel they suppress all the emotion except anger. So many young men are actually struggling with this phase, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता है. Very normal looking marriage, men are feeling more lonely than before marriage. Men's identity is based on how much productivity they are able to achieve, how much success they are able to have, and how much control they have on their environment. And if the three of these things are lacking, they convert it into shame. And when you are into shame, it's very difficult to ask for help.
Today we have psychologist and mental health therapist Simran Chandwani with us, and we are going to talk about men's mental health. I was going through some data which is very shocking that 70% of suicide committed are by men. मुझे लगता है कि बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. We need to talk more about men's mental health.
Definitely. So as we were thinking and we decided on this topic, so I was thinking deeply about men's mental health. And the first thing I noticed is how many men clients I have and how many women clients I have. And definitely the ratio of women is slightly higher. And the men who come to me are also recommended by women members. Not all of them, but I was just seeing this. And the other thing I make sure is to ask my male friends, just for fun and also out of curiosity, is when did they last cry? So mainly the answer is like 1 year, I don't know, 3 months back, maybe. And I just try to deeply empathize and wonder that what really goes in their mind. That I'm not saying they're not strong, and I'm not saying they are not, what do you say, capable of managing their emotions, but how is it possible that sadness is a far off emotion to them? And as you remember, when we spoke about women's mental health, we spoke that the first emotion they suppress is anger. And I feel men suppress sadness. I feel they suppress all the emotion except anger.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that here, and that is the leading cause of relationship management, because it looks like a fairy tale. Somebody who doesn't know how to control and somebody who really knows how to control. They marry and it looks like a fairy tale, and then you realize that you haven't married the adult, you have married their inner child, and suddenly the conflict starts coming up. But I feel the whole of men's identity is based on how much productivity they are able to achieve, how much success they are able to have, and how much control they have on their environment. And if the three of these things are lacking, they convert it into shame. And when you are into shame, it's very difficult to ask for help. So I don't see a lot of men asking for help, even if they need it, and that is the main cause of suicide. The suffering in silence, and sometimes they are not even in touch of their own suffering.
True.
Because they believe the world works like that, the patriarchal society works like that. And sorry, I would like to mention one thing, that when we talk about patriarchal society, suddenly the men get very defensive and we start thinking that we are talking about just women here. But I feel sometimes the men are also suffering as much or sometimes even more than women because of the design of the society.
True.
Because the A-type personality and the alpha males have become so popularized in movies that I don't think we give them a chance to have another personality, and neither do they give themselves.
Yeah, and they have to show that they are so strong. They don't need to cry. They have taken so much responsibility. They are responsible for everyone around. So of course, how can they show up emotions which are called vulnerable? कि भाई आप रो कैसे सकते हो when you are an alpha male, right? And as you mentioned about patriarchy, I would say yes, you're right actually, क्योंकि it looks as if you're talking about women suffering, but yes, because of patriarchy, again the whole responsibility is on the man's shoulder. मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता है is also patriarchy.
Yeah. I mean, so many young men are actually struggling with this phase, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता है. And what does it actually mean to be man enough? What does it mean to be man up? And these phrases are very commonly used in teenagers. And if you notice, they are hitting puberty early because of so much information and the media which is advertising men in certain way. Obviously women are advertised in certain way, and the movies are also hit just when they have that male figure in a very dominant role. And the kind of impact that young generation have is definitely not normal. And I have said it time and again, the society does nothing for your mental health. We have built a society of capitalism, and since the time civilization has started, the matriarchy society has converted to patriarchal society. And it has its drawback. Okay, now we are living in it, but that doesn't mean that we are not conscious of it. We have to become conscious of it.
Simran, you also spoke about inner child. Actually में क्योंकि हमारी maximum programming ना as a child हो जाती है. And when you are teaching a child, especially a male child, कि अरे तो क्या हो गया, चोट लग गई, it's okay, don't cry, you know, it's fine, you are a strong boy. You know, you are actually developing the programming of a male child, which he would be using when he grows up. And that's why you feel it becomes so difficult for them to open up, because as you mentioned that they don't know themselves what are the emotions that they are going through. Most of the times when you ask them that how do you feel, they say, अरे feel क्या करना है, चलना यार करते हैं. This, you would see, this is a common answer about if you talk about how do you feel.
100%. Because we were talking about patriarchal society, so one of the way to discipline your children is to discipline their emotions. You are not allowed to say this, you are not allowed to do this, and leaving the children alone when they are shouting or getting angry, instead of understanding that the behavior is cause of a feeling. The behavior is not emerging from anywhere, it is emerging from what is going on within them. And rather than sitting with them and analyzing or asking them that what is wrong with them, we shut the emotions and we treat men and women differently. And for men, the whole patriarchy is based on punishing, beating your kids or disciplining them, and matriarchy is based on completely opposite things, that you sit and understand and allow them to feel what they're feeling. And because of that, the human is going away from their basic needs of emoting their deepest emotion. They are just shutting themselves. Like, what is depression? Depressing something, suppressing something. And since the depression is not detected in male as often as female, it ends up into something highly consequential. Like in women, it might be a disease, which is an autoimmune disease. In male, it could be drug addiction, suicides, heart attacks, anything that is related to hyper suppression of emotions. It manifests into that.
Yeah, you're right. That's why such a high, number of men committing suicide. And also, I was reading this data कि जो married men होते हैं, वो ज़्यादा suicide commit करते हैं. You know, marriage has become a challenge because maybe they're not able to express to the partner that, you know, they're going through something which they cannot understand, and they see suicide as the only solution.
Correct. Oh my God, I just read a similar thing that in a very normal looking marriage, men are feeling more lonely than before marriage. But what is connection based on? Connection and intimacy is based on expressing who you are. And they take up this role and a cap of being a provider and the protector of family. So if they start expressing what they are feeling instead of, being the man and doing this, they will suddenly be the weaker person in the family. And now that they are not allowing themselves to be the weaker one, they're not being vulnerable. And what are relations without being your authentic self? It is just a facade. And how long can you carry that facade? Okay, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years. Then children grow up, then everything grow up, and then someday this has to drop. And then the loneliness seeps in like, I don't know, like a scary kid asking for help.
You're right, actually, you know, when you're not able to speak up, because we are not taught to communicate as a child. Because we are taught to shut up when we are a child, we are not able to communicate as we grow up. But why can't we teach our children, especially the male children, that you can be a provider and still you can have emotions? You can be somebody who's taking care of everybody or doing things, but still there would be moments of, you know, that dip in your life wherein you feel sad, you feel like crying. Why don't we teach children to embrace both the sides? And how difficult it is to teach. Maybe because our earlier generations never were taught that this is possible to have both the sides, right? That's why maybe they're not able to pass it on to the next generation. And that's why whatever we are seeing today. And that's why it becomes so imperative to talk more about mental health so that the next generation can be saved.
Correct. I think, and this question is so complicated and so layered. It sounds so simple, but on how many levels the society needs to change? Like if we even go to a doctor or a physician, they don't ask how are you. They're like, "Acha kya hua hai? Dawai le lo, jao." And I feel the emotional manifestation is so much more important to address than the physical manifestation of the problem, that I feel even the doctors are not, so I'm not blaming the medical industry, they have saved our life,
Right.
but maybe they are also not able to address the deeper issue. Like maybe, you know, if the nursing facility is trained to be gentle with you, and if the parents are just taught that, you know, behavior is just the manifestation of what is going within the child. Behavior is a reaction, it is not the source of who he is. And then the reaction won't come for the behavior. The reaction will come for the inner child or the inner person that is suffering. So it's a huge amount of sensitization, but I think what we can begin with is realizing that society will keep us in an illusion. What we can learn from it is that how can we develop a connection with ourselves. And now the modern self-love game and the social media is training us to practice self-love bit by bit, but I don't think it's something to practice. I think it's something to discover.
Right.
It's something done by breaking your unconscious pattern. It's something done by realizing that I don't have to behave like my dad anymore. And suddenly when you take off the pressure of being like somebody or being accepted as a dominant figure, suddenly you realize, okay, I'm also great as I am, and suddenly you start getting comfortable in your own skin. And it's about discovering that little self-acceptance that helps you to move forward and not get attached to every idea this society is creating, because I don't think society knows where we are going in right now. So it's like, I think we are like these puppets being controlled by the society. More power, more money, more success, more, and I don't know where will we go with so much more. I think it's time to reduce everything and see what you really want.
And that's why it's so important to know who you are. And this is a very important question, who you are. Or self-love, of course you're talking about self-love, but it's somehow connecting more to women. Have you ever seen a guy talking about self-love? I haven't met any guy who's talking about self-love. They say self-love is for women. Self-love is not for men. So maybe we'll have to coin another term for them which they can relate to, because उससे relate ही नहीं हो रहे हैं वो लोग. And as you mentioned, self-love is not actually just pampering yourself. Maybe that can be one part of it, one tiny part of it, but that's not the entire what self-love is. Self-love is actually self-discovery, as you mentioned, rightly mentioned.
Yeah.
That you spend some time with yourself. Okay, if you have to deal with a male client of yours and explain to them what exactly is self-love, how is their acceptance towards it? That are they ready to accept it, that yes, we should be going ahead and doing this? Or because they have come to you because they have realized that something is of course challenging in their life which they're not able to deal with and now they need help. I'm sure they would be little open to it,
Yes.
receiving this idea of self-love. But if we have to tell the boys that, you know, self-love is not just going to the parlor or putting that face pack, it's much more than that. How do we tell them from a psychologist's point of view?
First of all, them asking for help is 50% victory because the ratio of asking for help is very less. And when they ask for help, eventually they become open to idea of therapy and, you know, doing this. I give a questionnaire and there's 2 questions I always ask everybody to write. It's like it is also a Deepak Chopra's exercise, but I used to do it in a journaling anyways. So it's like you close your eyes, you take centering breaths, you close your eyes and ask yourself, who am I? So the definitions that are coming is your mom-dad definition, ki you're supposed to be a good father, a good business person, the best job coming, or your teacher's definition, or a spiritual definition, I'm a soul, or some image or some color. And slowly, when they keep asking it, they find their own definition. And then I make them write a magic page. What do I want? Because whatever we do in life, girl or boy, we do what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to get married. We are supposed to be a bright child. We are supposed to be, but if we start working in terms of what we want, suddenly the energy shifts. Suddenly the game shifts. Suddenly whatever I do, however hard I work, there's so much pleasure in it because I want it. I want this struggle and not that struggle. And then they start writing, what do I want? And it is so difficult to do it the first time. But eventually, you know, I slip in the question after 8-9 session. And then they're very easily able to answer it. But the first definitions that come, see where is it coming from? Is it really yours? You know, have you seen mothers buying maybe only pink cups or purple curtains because their kids like it, because they'll match this, and then suddenly you ask them, what is your favorite color? Maybe they have forgotten. So maybe self-love can start by just identifying, what color do I like? What do I want? What do I like to eat? What do I think about health? Is it subjective or is it derived from the society? Ki nahi 3 time hi khana hai. What do I want to eat right now? So start asking smaller questions so that we can definitely jump into bigger discussions of life.
That's the right way to start, I think, you know, that who are you when you want to identify this, and if you cannot derive an answer straight away, start asking smaller questions. Which color? Your definition of health, your definition of relationships, your definition of wealth, how much money. Because if you ask a lot of people about what do they want to eat, they would not know. They would say, jo marzi manga lo. I'm fine with it.
Always.
Yeah? Not just women, but men also have seen this, Arey jo marzi manga lo, tum jo khaoge, hum kha lenge, fine. And they don't know that these are small things, but if all the times you're saying this, which means you are not knowing what you like, you are not knowing who you are. And it's a subtle shift. Kitna chota question hai, but it can actually be very big for you if you want to find yourself. Yes?
That's
okay,
so true.
when do somebody identify that something is not working for them? Because most of the times, yes, there would be challenges in your life, right? I have not met anyone who would say, "Nahi, meri life bahut sahi chal rahi hai." Or even if they say bahut sahi chal rahi hai, there's something that they don't want to address maybe. But when do you think is the right time they start addressing it and they realize that they need professional help?
Okay. First is definitely if you are having more stress than other days, if you are having irritability or you're reacting on small things. And second is, okay, if you are feeling fine, see if there is pattern of people getting irritated by you on the same thing. So sometimes we are very secure about who we are, but the people around us, अरे ये तो ऐसे ही करती है, ये आंटी तो मुझे ऐसे ही बोल. So see that, and other than that, it requires a lot of large-heartedness to accept that there's something going wrong in me. Because if we talk about men, because they want to be right at all times, so it takes a huge an eye and a large-heartedness to see where am I going wrong. And the thing is, it's very difficult to pull them out. They have to pull themselves. They have to realize it. That's why I said it's such a big success that if a guy asks for help, because they are the one who society makes shameful of when they acknowledge some weakness in them. So to come out of that shame and say, okay, I can also make mistakes. Okay, this is what's going on with me, is a very integral part of healing, and only they can do it. It's very difficult for a therapist, mother, family to do it. The therapist might do it at a certain level, but if they're not coming to my clinic, what will I do? And society can do it by talking about it, but the society is not talking about it. And wherever we go, even in corporate, even in school, so a lot of people have started homeschooling for a reason, because everywhere there is rules. There's rules to behave. There's this to this. Rather than focusing on harmony, like how to create harmony and how to bring out the best within the child, we will always train them, these are the rules and this is the way you'll become the best person. And 10 of them out of 100 become the best, and 90 of them are feeling, oh my god, I'm a failure. And so yeah,
and they're comparing themselves, and because there are set standards that if you meet these standards, then only you're a brilliant student, otherwise you're not. So it's something like there is this analogy कि अगर आप fish को पेड़ पर चढ़ने के लिए कहोगे तो of course fish is going to fail. So this is what is happening at schools, and that's why people are preferring homeschool, because a lot of unnecessary stress is created. But let me bring this back to men. Because as a child, if the stress is there, as you grow up, of course, you have been raised with that stress. And if you are not self-aware, because you mentioned that if you are too much stressed or maybe irritable, or maybe people around you are maybe identifying this, but if you're not self-aware, you would not visit a therapist. So self-awareness is maybe the first thing. So you need to first understand कि कुछ हो रहा है मेरे साथ, and that's again that you spend some time with yourself. If you're not spending, let's say, even 15 minutes with yourself every day, or maybe 10 minutes, you're a therapist, you would be able to guide me better. That how much time do you think somebody should spend with themselves every single day to be a little self-aware? Because we are always rushing. We are in autopilot mode, especially if you are married, you have kids. Maybe when you are in college, you have little time, but again, you are being rushed. Ki pad lo, otherwise you're not going to get a job. When you are in school also, you're being rushed. Tuition chale jao, ye classes kar lo, wo classes kar lo. How would you identify otherwise? What are you good at? So you're always exploring, which is good. Again, I'm not saying that we don't explore life, of course. But as somebody who's a professional, how much time do you think somebody should spend with themselves every single day to bring in that self-awareness?
I'm sure you have heard this. There's a Jay Shetty line. If you're free, meditate for 15 minutes. If you're very busy, please meditate for 2 hours. So it depends on how much responsibility you think you have, that much alone time you need. So mothers need way more alone time than a college student.
True.
So you have to identify how busy you are, and that's how you balance. And I think if you make it your nature to be self-aware. Taking out time is just another medium or just another way of doing it. But if you are self-aware throughout you are conscious, in between the break you are having a sip of coffee, you find that harmony back and you are back to work. But yeah, if you have just lost the track, then you suddenly need a whole day or a whole vacation to get myself back. But if you're just there with yourself all the time, it's okay.
Yeah, right. And I think so rather than teaching to your child, maybe history ke dates, I think this should be something that should be taught to your child. Self check-in. How are you feeling? Maybe 2-3 times in a day. How are you feeling? Is the stress too much? Okay, stress rahega. Again, I'm not saying that your life would be hunky-dory, which is not possible because of the commercialization and because of the kind of society we are living in. Of course, stress is going to be there. But if you're aware that there are ways to handle that stress as well. You don't have to actually go till the time you are breaking down or burnt out. You don't have to take that level of stress, right? You can still check in between, and there are tools available wherein you can manage that stress and sail through.
Of course. And I so wish this will be actually my biggest dream, to just have a subject of mental health for students and just really allowing them to navigate their emotions. I think they'll come out as such a fuller human being. They won't be chasing the wrong ideas of society. They'll become a fuller human being. They'll be fully present in their relationship. There'll be a full profession. Because I feel, what does a healed person look like? I think a healed person looks like somebody who's whole, who doesn't feel that achieving the next job will make me complete or achieving something will make me complete. Every child needs to know that they are extremely valuable for just existing. And when we start teaching them that their value is based outside of them, then the whole spiral down starts. Okay, where do I find my value? So just reminding them that, I'm quoting all the famous therapists I follow, Gabor Mate. He's like, the plant is not questioned for their value. The water is valuable as it is. The fish is valuable as it is. The birds flying, be it a crow, peacock, they are valued for what they are. We are not going and check kaun zyada valuable hai. But for human, acha, what is he doing? Kitna kama raha hai?
Right.
How pretty is she? And the men are constantly questioned on, okay, but how much are they earning? How much have they achieved? Women, is she even pretty? How old is she?
She married?
Is she married?
There are children?
Yeah.
These are the criteria of judging and creating that worth की value इनकी इन सब चीज़ों से tied है.
So sometimes I feel if the society wasn't created that way, हमें कुछ mental health का ध्यान रखना ही नहीं पड़ता. But now that it is created that way, so one of the first thing I believe is being truly honest to yourself. Honest in identifying how you're feeling, honest in knowing who you are, and yeah, just the honesty and not hiding behind the mask of values. Ki no, I've been very kind all my life. Not hiding behind any mask and just trying to be as you are. I think the healing starts there.
And accepting that you can be good and you can be bad also.
Yeah.
Because I have not seen somebody who's always good.
Yeah.
Maybe with us they are good.
Yeah.
But I'm sure at some places they would be bad as well. So we just need to accept that we are both.
Yeah.
As good and as bad we are.
Also realizing the point earlier, it takes a greater amount of compassion, inner compassion, to know your bad sides than knowing just your good sides. So it tells me about the person, that how compassionate he is, that he is accepting his worst side. So it takes a large heart.
Right. And once you realize it, you don't have to stick there. Like people say, हाँ मैं हूँ बुरा तो ठीक है, मैं हूँ बुरा. But again, we are not saying that you have to be stuck there. You can still accept yourself, and you can still move ahead. You can still change your behaviors if you feel that this is something that's not working for you in life. That's what therapy is all about, right? You know yourself, and then if you want to make some changes to your personality, you can actually.
Of course. And I bet if you know yourself, you would give up on 80% of the behavior you are following. It won't be like, oh, I know myself, मैं तो ऐसे ही रहूँगा. When you start knowing yourself, you don't just start discovering the beauty in yourself, you start discovering the beauty in others. And then things start shifting. And honestly, everybody to the core are made with lot of unconditional compassion, and there's a need of kindness, and there's a need of giving and growing in society. And from the outer, they have this no, but we have to live a practical life, we have to maintain this. And suddenly when you start dropping the shell, there's so much that emerges from them that that is so beautiful.
Yeah, and you spoke about how movies are influencing the society, right? People who are making these movies, they say कि नहीं हम तो सिर्फ entertainment के लिए बना रहे हैं, but that's not possible, you know. Movies actually shape the society and the youngsters. I mean, they need to realize this. If they're saying yeah, we are just doing it for entertainment, even if you are doing it for entertainment, you are influencing the younger generation. And if the movie star speaks something, I have seen youngsters getting impacted. So when a film star says nahi therapy kaam nahi karti hai, you know, I feel that did not work for me, and I don't think so, you know, talking about your problems would get a solution. It impacts a lot of other people who are listening to the film star, you know. Do you really think that, especially for men, because I've always met women who says no, it really helped me, it changed my life, it saved me, but because you have male clients as well, so do they say that yeah, this saved me? Or maybe because they've already come to you, they would say it, but do you think there can be men who can actually say this, like that it doesn't work? Or maybe it's just the misfit there, just because they were going to a therapist which was not matching to their expectations, and that's why this gap came in?
So as far as I've become a therapist, earlier, of course, everybody's like, how much can therapy help? I have never tried to protect my image as a therapist or trying to save therapy as a profession. I've always tried to ask them to question their mental health and to see how much help do they really need. And what I realize is that women have a lot of friends to talk to chatter to, and to say bullshit to, and we'll talk for hours. And even we have sources to call one friend that, can you please listen to me today? And I just check in with my male friends, do you have that one friend you can talk to like that? I think they definitely need therapists way more than women. And okay, if they are in the idea that therapy is not working for them, what else works for you? I keep things open. What can work for you? Can reading a book work for you? I can recommend 100 books, but I just want to know if that person is ready to be a human before identifying anything else in him. And I've learned acting, I've worked on stage, and movies are my life. There was a time in COVID, like every day I watched one movie, every day. And it wasn't like a work for me, oh, what did he do then? And I saw such phenomenal movies. And I believe that acting is such a job, like, you know, if you have to play a criminal, first you have to forgive the character, then you have to empathize with the character, then you have to work on the character. So I think it is an extremely compassionate profession, because you are trying to play a role of a criminal. So it's not possible that you hate that person and you start playing it. So, you know, it gives you a lot of layer. Acting has also let me see psychology in a very deeper lens. It's like a practical form of psychology, and what I've done is the theory of psychology. So I feel there are great movies made, and there are great actors that exist in the world, and they have such emotional fluidity, I don't think it can come without inner work. It cannot come without accepting who you are. And obviously, there are bad actors, there are bad therapists, there are bad mental health profession. Everywhere, everything is not good. You have to identify who's right for you. You have to identify what is connecting to you, and like you connect to a life partner, or like you find your best friend, or like you find the right teacher, I think you find your right therapist also. I don't think everyone is right for you, but there's someone who will be right, who is trained, who is compassionate. And I feel training as a psychologist is not just about education. It is based on so much empathy and intellect for sure, but so much values and so much open-mindedness that somebody who has lived in a very narrow mindset and suddenly they are trained with masters and PhD, they won't be able to. It is based on values. It is not just based on education. So I think right values plus the right degrees and the right training is the way to find the right therapist.
So Simran, what made you choose psychology? And when you're mentioning that you love acting, so I'm sure you must be pursuing acting. And then how come psychology as well?
I to feel I was made to be a therapist, and my inner child with unfulfilled needs wants to become an actor. So I didn't choose psychology. I think psychology chose me, and acting didn't choose me. I chose acting. So it's a very conflicting thing, because I feel there is a personality you already have, and it is a personality which requires completion and which requires wholeness, and that's why you follow different hobby to open that paths in you. But I fell on psychology, and then I discovered that, oh my God, just by knowing myself, you know, I can just give this idea to my mom and dad, and you know, I just started small, you know this personality test, you know. So I realized how much power can I get just by understanding myself. And I really wanted to give it to others, and a lot of us women have it. That's why we all are very attracted to this field of therapy. You know, we want to help and we want to give. And मुझे लगता है, rather than helping in any direction where you don't get gratitude and you don't get anything in return, at least your energy of what you want to give and what you want to create is going in the right direction. So I feel therapy has allowed my nature of kindness is overrated for me. It's not about kindness, but my energy of giving something and taking care of somebody has been reciprocated very well in psychology. And I think it was my nature also. And everyone's nature is different, I feel. So I think...
So it's the right thing that came to you.
Yes.
Psychology is the right thing that came to you, and you're pursuing both now. You know, acting as well as psychology. You know, you are a therapist to a lot of people, and then you are acting as well.
So yeah, I feel psychology is my source of giving. Art is my source of getting that energy.
Yeah, you have to manage that. Of course, you have to manage that, because you cannot keep giving. And you need some energy. You know, you need some activity that gives you a lot of energy.
And art therapy also I've done. So when I do art therapy, I know how much expression can heal us. And art and acting and dance, it is expressing who you are.
This is so amazing, you know, that you know yourself, and then you start not just knowing yourself, but you start knowing others as well. And through this process, you start building better connections, because now you understand that what kind of personality somebody else can be, and you start building that connection with others, which really translate into meaningful relationships. And that's why it's so important to start with knowing yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
The first beautiful connection is with yourself and then with the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Simran. We had a great connect today. I think I got to learn a lot from you today.
Pleasure is always mine.
Thank you so much. And in case you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like and share, because this motivates us as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you.
Thank you.